You're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference.
Yeah, and I said it the other day, and you have to realize, you have to know, you have to accept that all your excuses are lies. They are lies, all of them.
None of us can afford to have a life that is controlled by someone else, or a life that is basically controlled by our emotions.
You see, all habits have three parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger's always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief.
I learned many years ago that there are two kinds of people. There's the type of person who says, I'm going to wait till I feel like it before I do it. And then there's a person who says, I've got to do it so that I feel like it. One will never get anything done because they're still waiting to feel the moment to move. And the other person says, no, I need to move, and then I will begin to feel the moment.
Think about the things that you tell yourself, the lies you use to rationalize taking the easy road. Taking the easy road and leaving discipline behind. Think about them. You don't have time. That's a lie. You don't have support. That's a lie. You don't have the equipment or the gear. Lies. You don't know the best way. Who cares? That's a lie. Or you're too old, or you're too young. Of course you're too old or too young. Lie. And there's you're too busy. Sure you are. That's a lie. And you're too tired, or you're too sore, or you're just plain not feeling it. Lies, lies, lies. And the list goes on and on and on. And it doesn't stop if you don't make it stop.
Sonia, self-discipline is essential in your life and in my life if we're going to get things done. So I have a challenge for every one of you this weekend. The challenge is simple. As you go through your weekend, and sometimes it's kind of hopefully an easier time of your week, ask yourself, am I practicing self-discipline in my life? Am I doing the things that I should do because I need to do them, or am I kind of waiting to feel the moment? Do like our friends Nike say, just do it.
The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never going to get rid of the stress in your life, but you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work. So next time that you're in a situation where you feel yourself hesitate, you spent way too much time checking out the highlights from last night's scores, what you're going to do is you're going to go, oh, I must be stressed out about something. Acknowledge the stress. Then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to count to yourself because I want you to interrupt the habit that's stored here, and I want you to awaken your prefrontal cortex. Then I want you to just work, just for 5 minutes. The reason why I want you to only work for 5 minutes is because your problem isn't working. It's the habit of avoiding. I just need you to start. And here's the other cool thing. We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going.
So recognize the excuses are not valid. They aren't. They're trumped up. They're conjured up. They're fabricated. They're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. The truth. The truth will set you free. The truth will stand, and the truth will deliver you from procrastination and laziness and the downward spiral that comes with a lack of discipline. So don't believe the lies, believe the truth. And the truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done. So cast out the lies, burn them down, and listen to the truth. Then live the truth and go out and get it done.
Have you ever heard a motivational speaker tell you that attitude is everything? I'll bet you have. I've heard many say that. In fact, they'll say something like, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. And that never quite rang true with me. So I began to press the issue, and I have come to the conclusion that attitude isn't everything. Now, I'm not disclaiming or in any way being disparaging about attitude, because I think attitude is very important. But if anybody comes up to you and tells you that attitude is everything, I don't buy into that. That's not true. For example, attitude can't replace incompetence. If you're incompetent, you can be very happy, but you can still be very unsuccessful. Now, here's what I do know. Attitude isn't everything, but attitude is the main thing that'll make a difference in your life. Because I believe that, I wrote the book, The Difference Maker. You see, that's what attitude is. Attitude is the difference maker. You have two people side by side that you're thinking about employing in your company. Both of them have the same background, same job description, education, experience. I mean, you could almost flip a coin and say, I could hire the one on the right, or I could hire the one on the left. But one has a great attitude and one has a bad attitude. Now, who are you going to hire? You're going to hire the person with a great attitude. Why? Because it was the difference maker.
One of the things that can help you stop procrastinating, well, let's say two things. I referred to them at the end of my talk. One is to have a really nicely developed vision of heaven. It's like, okay, here's what you need to know. How would your life be? What would it be like if it was really good? And I don't get primitive about that. It's not like, naked supermodels on a yacht. They're too skinny anyways. Anyways, you know what I mean. It's like, yeah, I get it, but it's not agape, say. So it's not sophisticated enough to be self-sustaining. It's a stupid vision, and if you pursue it, you're just going to be on a sinking yacht with like anorexics or something like that. So you need a vision. You need a vision of what your life would be like if it was just the way it should be, if it was best for you, and if you were taking care of yourself with this thing that you kind of described as parental love. It's a really good way of thinking about it because it's nice and concrete. So what would be best for you 3 to 5 years down the road if you were really taking care of yourself like you were someone that you thought should be around? And people are very ambivalent about whether they should be around, so this is a lot harder than you think. So you need that vision. And then what you also need is a vision of what your life would be like if you let yourself deteriorate in precisely the foolish ways that you know that you would deteriorate if you let yourself go. And that's contemplation too. It's like, okay, if I let myself go, where would I end up? And first of all, this is kind of a shadow realization from a Jungian perspective. It's like, first of all, you could let yourself go. Second of all, you already know exactly how you do it if you did do it. And third, with a little imagination, you can conjure up exactly what that would be like, not only for you, but for your family and for the broader social community. And that would be the whole bloody catastrophe, including all the malevolence that would go along with your deterioration and so on. And so then you've got these stark choices before you. One is agape-oriented equilibration, for lack of a better technical phrase, and the other is something that more closely approximates hell than people even think. Because if you sink low enough, not only do you sink that low, but you are absolutely motivated to drag people down there with you. And it's a nasty, nasty state of affairs. And so if you're really terrified of that, like you should be, because you've drawn the causal connections, and you're really attracted by the other, then when you sit down and you don't do what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing, you don't get to say, well, it doesn't matter. And that's the salience landscape issue. It's like, no. The little voice in the back of your head that says it matters, it sees those outcomes down into the future, and it's telling you that it matters. And if you would like the positive outcome over the negative outcome, which is, like I said, your constant choice, you bloody well better sit down and do what you're supposed to. And so that's really helpful. That'll, I think, what is it? Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It's like, yes, that's absolutely right. And the role of things like anxiety and terror in promoting proper development, well, are often under-addressed, because we think of those things as our enemies. It's like, they're your enemies if they're working against you, but they're pretty powerful monsters on your side if you've got them oriented properly.